Concerned about finding his key than speculating on the eccentric behaviour of spring locks. Mr. Carter had a powerful torch which would be just the thing for a search of this kind, he remembered. He'd go and borrow it without delay. He shut the door and made sure it was properly fastened. Even with the aid of a torch. Mr. Wilkins looked a little sheepish. "I thought I heard someone outside in the garden, so I went to have a look," he explained.
Sit on the floor, or do you?
Yeah, I lay on the floor. This is how I'm... This is it. Okay, well, first of all, I divide up the pile of scripts and work out who's answered which question. And then I go through and mark one question at a time. So at the moment, I'm marking question 13, which is a question about writing reports. This pile of scripts, I've marked most of them now, I've just got a few left. Well, these are essay questions which are quite hard to mark. Mostly with engineering, we're marking numerical answers, so it's sort of you know, if you get the right answer, you get a tick, and the wrong one, you get a cross, and you add up the ticks at the end. Essays are harder, which take longer to mark. I have to read through what they've written, see if it makes sense. There's some marks for style, but I'm also looking for keywords. So I'll look for points, and I'll put a tick when I see a point that I think deserves a mark. And then at the end of the question, I'll add up the ticks and see how they've done. Marking can be quite tedious, but it's got to be done. It's the pinnacle of your teaching, if you like. Ultimately, you look at it and you wonder whether you've taught them anything at all sometimes when you read the scripts, or occasionally you get a really good one and you think, yes, you've achieved something and you've made them think with what you've been teaching them. It's the only place I don't get disturbed. If I'm at work, then either I'll get a knock on the door from someone, or the phone will ring, or there'll be a ping as the next email flies in, and it's all too tempting to delay marking to get up and read that email or answer that phone call or do something else. So here it's just me and a pile of papers, so I have to get it done.
No distractions at all. There's a couple of distractions in the next room, isn't there?
There are two big distractions in the next room. They've been told to be quiet tonight. My wife's out tonight for a meal with some friends, so it's me and them. It's a boys' night in, so they've been threatened and promised with rewards if they're quiet tonight and let me get on and get marking. It's difficult because you know that they're important, so you spend a long time marking. But we rely on so much assessment that sometimes you think, well, you know, this is one module, they do 120 credits, this is worth 10 credits, so this is a very small part of their first year's marks. So we rely on having lots of bits of assessment so that, you know, if there is a bit of plus or minus 10% in some of the marks, in the end of the day, you rely on having so many pieces of assessment that you get an accurate representation of the worth of the student at the end of the year. So it's it's more when you get to examiners meetings and you think, well, you know, if I'd have given that 40% rather than 35%, then that student wouldn't have to take any resits. That's when it's tough, and you think, well, you know, should I go back and look at that? And sometimes you do. You go back and check when students are near to a borderline, when it makes a really big difference. Other times you see the marks and you think, yes, student got, you know, 60% for my module and they got 62 for that module and 58 for this one. And with those students, it's a lot easier because you've got consistency across their range of marks. The way we mark is they're totally anonymous at the moment, in that there's a flap here that they have to seal down. So here I've just got their student ID number and the course they've taken, so, but their name is under the flap, so what I have to do is mark them all, and then when I've marked them all I get a pen or a letter opener and I can lift up the flap and then I can see who the student was.